always start out with, what is the earliest thing you can remember about Pleasant Grove?
Well, I remember about going to that little church, the first little church they had, across the road from the cemetery. I can remember about going to church there. I don't know what year that was put up. I forget now. Of course, I was just a little girl, and Florence told me you saw where I was baptized.
Yeah.
But and I don't even know what year that was. Do you?
Well, I can't. I've got it's up there.
Well, it don't make no difference. I guess maybe a year, 2 years old or something. But that sounds usually fast to us children. And yeah, I can remember going to that little church. But when the next church was built, do you remember what that year was?
Oh, that was 1908, I believe.
Well, I was born 1899, and that it'll make it.
It was built about 1888, I believe, that first church.
1888. Yeah, well, that was, I know I can remember about hearing Papa talking about, them digging the well down there. Of course, you don't know where that was. It was along there about where the HUD is.
Was it behind the old church? Or?
Yeah, it was behind that one on the right-hand side of the road. Yeah. And I can remember hearing him tell about helping build the church. And I don't know whether he helped build the first church or not. I don't know what he did, how old he was then. But that was first started, in a brush arbor that we put up there. And Granny Hutchison, they called her, is the lady that gave the land, first the land to put the church, and so she was the first one buried over, on the other side of the road from that little church. And you go down and see where she has the headstone. Yeah. Well, now she's the one that started the thing, and they used to have a preacher come through here. I think he preached down here at Long Creek, down there towards Mount Holly, going to.
Later became Cook, didn't it?
No,
but it was, well, I thought it was.
That was the one that's where Pleasant Grove come from. Was down there. They were Methodists. And Granny Hutchison and the old preachers would always stop at her house, They're just in a buggy or on a horse or something. And they'd stop and spend the night at her house and then go on down there and preach. And then I reckon she give the land and they got this place started up here for Pleasant Road. But that's where the thing that first started was from that church down at the Long. I don't know what they used to call it hog waller, but I don't know what they really did, what really was the name of it, but they had a little church. They had services there I went wrecking more than once a month or something.
Well, where was it at now?
You go down, oh,
Mount Holly.
yeah, down there where,
Shuffletown was around that area? Or?
it was on, no, it was down, way down yonder at, camp. What did you call it then? You know, B.C. Fur lived down there a long time, run some kind of a thing down there. And Long Creek was run right past it. And but I don't know exactly what the church was, but it was right there in that community.
Okay. Well, what did that first Pleasant Grove Church look like? How do you remember it looking?
Oh, it was just a little one-room thing, you know. I don't know how wide or long. It wasn't very deep.
Was it just bench seats?
No, they had seats in there, like, no, of course, not as fine a place as they are now, but it was, yes, it could come out of, I don't know where they got them, maybe out of some old church or something somewhere. Or maybe brought them from down there, I don't remember that. Because, I wasn't very big, and,
Well, did they look kind of old to make you think that they came from someplace before Pleasant Grove?
well, I tell you, I don't remember.
Oh, well.
How they did look.
But it was lit by lamps, wasn't it, at night, wasn't it? If they ever had anything at night.
I don't remember having things at night. They would have, revival meetings, and last the whole week. And they'd have services in the mornings and in the afternoons, Because I know my granddaddy didn't get up one morning and dressed up and went down there. He never had gone to church. And he dressed up and went down there and joined the church. Through the week, And, yeah, they had the services. But now, after a while, Uncle John Todd, after the deal, the other one across there, Uncle John Todd put in, what kind of lights was that? It's so-called lights.
Was it carbide?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Well, that's what a lot of people did. A lot of people have those kind of lights. I've heard several people talk about them.
Well, nobody but somebody that was pretty
Like their
like
like Susan, Illinois, they said they have.
did. Well, I didn't know they had. I know we didn't have it because we was able to afford it.
Nobody else did.
And Uncle John put that in there, but Lord, that was a long time, even after. And I don't remember what they had for Uncle John put that in. I reckon it was just some kind of likeness or something, but I don't remember what it was.
Well, that first church, did it have a little stove right there in the middle of it?
I don't remember that first little church. It had.
You were kind of young.
Yeah, it had a stove because I saw it would be too. That would be some kind of a stove. The warm and And then the other church, they had a stove on each side, you know, of there was three sections of three.
Kind of like Pleasant Grove now.
Yeah, yeah, and they had a stove on each side, down the front, for the preacher.
Well, I've seen a picture, did that second church, it kind of had like a little bay window thing in the back of it, didn't it? Right behind the preacher?
Yeah, yeah.
Was there a back door going out of it?
There was not out of the back, not out of the pulpit, but you step down a step or two, and there was a door at the left side of it. You could go in the back door.
Well, that church had an upstairs to it, didn't it?
Well, it did it didn't for a long time, but they didn't have enough of Sunday school rooms, and Papa and Mr. Bobby Simpson and the whole crowd of them went down there and put up a balcony, I reckon you'd call it. And I think there's about 3 or 4 Sunday school rooms across that. Because, you know, before then, everybody sat out in Mayme auditorium to have the Sunday school classes, and, you know, you couldn't hardly hear what was being said at all. And so they put that up. They had a vestibule, too, in that church, and they had stairs, you know, at each end of it, and you could, and there's a way you went up, you know. I know our Sunday school class was up there, and Miss Clemmy Alton was the teacher, and she was a good one. And Papa had a class up there. He taught the boys about your age. He had a big bunch of class of like Will Ed's boys, you know, Bill and they call him Bill now. I think we called him. But anyway, Will had 2 boys, you know. One of them's the one that married Cross was lucky. It was boys that age, you know. Frank Kelly and just all the boys that age. My Papa had them. He had his class up there. And then there's another one that was up there.
Wasn't the Alton woman, she taught all the girls how?
No, we was all in the old ladies' class. Yeah, but now I was in the class for a long time with Cora Taylor. You know, I don't really remember her. Cora Taylor's Goat's wife. When she had all the young girls, but I reckon they kind of felt like they wasn't hearing well enough or something, but anyway, they changed the thing somehow or another, or after you get so old, or something like that, they would, we all went in the ladies' Bible class, and the young girls and all. And she was really a good teacher, Miss Elton was. And so And you know, Miss May Cream taught Sunday school for a long time, but that we sat over there on the left-hand side at the very back in the church part. So they'd just be scattered around over the church, and then they got that upstairs. Part of the traveling up there, you know, and it was a little room to move. Shut the door and hear what was being said. But, and I really don't remember too much about that person, but only what I've heard my papa and the rest of them talk and tell, you know, about the brush offer and put that up. And I think it was just a little bit below where the building, when you find the building, was put. And I knew Mr. Henry Baker. That was my uncle Baker's daddy. He was one of the main ones that had built it. And this Abernathy, that Granny Hutchison was, I think, somehow up there. Some of their people's grandmother, I reckon. They were kin, I know. And Miss Amanda came and all of them, they were in the family. They the ones that run the thing time. And then old man Frank Simpson, he was a good worker in the church. That way back then. And that's Lottie and his grandmother. Yeah. But that's what I just don't know too much. You know, remembering something that far back, and I wasn't very either. So I just don't just know what I just heard them talking about. That's all. I never read no books or nothing there. Anybody ever wrote them?
Well, what about, tell me about this Let's Go picnic they used to have.
Oh, that was the best thing that ever happened. The new country was the picnic. Well, we had a picnic once every summer. It was at the last they set, I don't know how many years, they set the second Tuesday in August was the picnic.
Well, is that what grew into the homecoming now?
But I reckon that's what the dog.
But homecoming now can compare with that.
Oh no, everybody. Oh yeah, they make lemonade, and we'd all make a freezer ice cream, you know, and take, and they'd have Coca-Colas and things like that, you know, and sell it, and make money for the church too. But everybody, and you talk about dinners, we'd really have anything. And they'd put out, you know, out there and put tables, just planks and porches, you know, what you put the planks on, you know what that is. And so they'd just spread the, and if anybody didn't want to put theirs on the table, I'll tell you, there's these Johnsons in over here about Lucia. They come every year. They were Mr. Johnny Lawing's sister.
Oh, Nancy Johnson and Aunt Mandy.
Yeah, and then her sister, brother, I reckon it was, they called him brother, they called him Tom. And they never did put their dinner on the table. They'd go down at the edge of the woods, and spread their lunch out together.
But you know,
That
all
sounds
people
just
that way.
like them.
Yeah. Well, that's
Sounds
what
just like them. I'll tell you this, my great grandma, Miss Laura James,
Uh-huh.
she said, Aunt Mandy, after Angie died, would always come to visit them.
Oh, yeah.
And Grandma said that she about drove Grandma crazy. Grandma Lawing crazy. Said she Grandpa wanted to count the days, so she had to leave.
No. And they told on her that she'd wear one dress, and bring another one along, and go down there in the woods after dinner and change dresses.
For what?
Yes.
Have a
So she had another one.
So she had another one around, and but they'd go eat by themselves, and all the rest of us, put on the table and just go up and down the table like if we nap, and we really enjoyed that thing. They'd always have it in August after you get the crops and things laid by and everything. And most of the time they then have their revival would start maybe right after that.
Was it a Sunday? Was it always on a Sunday?
No, it was
Tuesday. That's what it was.
Tuesday. It was the second Tuesday in August.
Well, didn't they have pony rides?
Oh, they had, what is this thing that they had lamps?
Tournament. Didn't know what they called it? Tournament?
I believe it is, because I remember they, whoever won the tournament, they could crown their sweetheart. And I know one time, I don't know who it was that won it, but they crowned Mary Elliott McClure. She was pretty too. And and they had one time they had what they called the ocean wave. I don't know where the thing come from. A ride, go up and down and and the Paul Creek brass band would come.
I heard they always had a band.
Yeah.
And ball game.
Oh, yeah, they always had ball games, but had to go over here right where, across the road from where Bland's house was on, there was the nearest field they had.
What grandpa?
And,
Frank Kelly's garden now.
yeah, right, along in there was their ball game was. And,
Well, who would play who? Would it be all the Pleasant Grove get somebody else, or would they just pick up teams?
oh, I think maybe they just pick up whoever played, Oliver and all of them could play ball pretty good. They just pick up most of the time play. I don't think they ever maybe anybody can just play ball.
Well, that's coming to be some kind of a. I bet you did look forward to that.
Oh, we did, that's about all that there was to look forward to was the picnics around. I know we'd go up at the chapel sometimes, too, you know, to their picnic. And we thought that, we thought that was the best thing, you know, that lemonade. The Papa and them would get up things that morning, go down there and make the lemonade, you know, in big tin tubs. And we'd take the ice cream and they'd sell that, you know. But I think you get 2 glasses of lemonade for a nickel.
How'd they know when you was coming to get your second glass open?
I reckon you just drank it all right there. Maybe there was 2 children or something. One would take one glass and one another. But they make a little bit of money, you know. Way back then, a little bit of money, $100 or something, or $50 would be a whole lot of money. And they'd put it for something for the church, you know.
Well, I heard that as a lot of people came from all over the community. It was just a big crowd, even now.
Oh, yeah, they did. They come from anybody wanted to, you know, to come. And like I say, that's all there was to do was to go down picnic.
You had to crash somebody else's picnic.
Well,
Well, they didn't mind.
Well, I heard something about the Pleasant Grove people would, I don't know, they'd wear some kind of a badge or something to show the other people from the other churches around or something like that, like they was in charge, you know.
Well, I don't remember that.
That's just something I saw somewhere. I didn't know it was.
Well, that could be true, but I just forgot it. I don't remember that.
Well, when did they stop doing that?
Oh, I don't know, the last picnic at Pleasant Grove. You know, Olin Todd was talking about it here the other day. You know, they'd all come, man, Rhoda Todd and them lived in town, but they would always come out for the picnic, you know. And Olin would tell them that they would say, see me in the, he was talking about the picnic at Pleasant Grove. Uncle John Todd was high candy, and threw it up there, and the poor little children just scrambling, you know, trying to
Bump your head. Pennies, they just pennies.
yeah.
Oh. Well, I'm sure you heard that story about Mr. Andy Hutchinson. You remember him?
Yeah, of course I did.
Well, what was he like? Tell me about him.
He was as close as the Jones.
Well, I don't think anybody's scared.
He would, they trade now, I don't know, that he'd hang around, you know, not buying nothing till, right late, and when the thing was over, you know, they had some left, and they'd get to either giving it away or maybe about half price or something. And they persuaded that Mr. Andy was wasting clean before he get anything at all, you know, because he's getting it cheap.
My grandpa said that he'd pull his money out of his pocket, sit there and look at it, look at that lemonade, then put it back in his pocket and wait.
Yeah, they say that he would, and had just plenty of money.
That's crazy he had it.
He's had more sense than any of them.
Well, tell me what kind of stuff happened up there. The Abernathy's were telling me just that somebody, now you tell me who, because I forgot this, they told me that somebody would get up and pray every Sunday. You'd get louder and louder as they prayed, and people would start getting tickled after a while, and they'd just start trying to keep from laughing, but he'd just get louder every sentence. Now, do you remember?
Because I'll tell you, Mr. Jones sent me first, and Mr. Old Man Frank sent him, but he didn't even want them to do that. And after Uncle John come down here, of course, he tried to pray in public, but that man never did learn to pray. You know, it just kind of make me want him to hush. He makes it smell. But he was good. He was a good man, you know, worked good in the church and everything, but, you know, he just wasn't one that could pray in public good. And, but as far as the one that was getting loud and loud, I don't know. I don't remember that. I don't know how they knew anything about them, because they didn't come down church at all.
No, they came to the picnic. They went to Hopewell. You know,
Yeah.
They said they felt like they was part of Pleasant Grove, living so close to it.
Yeah, but they didn't. They go to Hopewell, and most of the time way back then, a lot of the time, we had preaching in the afternoons, you know.
How often would you have church? Would it be every Sunday?
Not when I was right little, but after so long a time, there's a preacher preached it. The preacher would preach it, the Rider and Trinity, the Pleasant Grove. So they kind of took it time about, you know, having it.
Circuit, I guess they call it.
Yeah, he'd come and spend the night somewhere the night before he come preach, you know, the next day. And sometimes they would have it in the mornings, and then sometimes they'd have it at night. They'd kind of take the time around, you know. Most everybody wanted it in the morning, you know.
You know,
That's right. But that's the way they do. And then we, you know, got in with Marie Elliott Methodist Church down there. And it seemed like Big Springs was in the Pleasant Road.
they had all different kind of circuits at different times.
Yeah, and you know, the preacher never did have just one church. They'd have maybe 2 or 3. Of course, 2 all the time, but maybe more than that. And we was with the Seavers. I know Mr. Elliott is one of the ones that I remember preached at the Seavers and Pleasant Grove too. And maybe at Trinity, I don't remember whether he preached at Trinity or whether he just had 2 churches. But he lived down in Seavers.
Would you remember any kind of anything that happened during the service or anything like that kind of got everybody tickled, or something that kind of embarrassing ever happened?
Well, I looked up to remember what this happened now before a while. I don't reckon it was when the man was preaching. But one of Mr. Lee Abernathy's little boys was out there visiting Miss Jane Avenue, and he had a bicycle, and he get up in the vestibule there, and he rode down that top of the aisle and went out the back door. But I can't remember now whether it was during the preaching or whether it was kind of intermission or
It
something.
was during the service.
Yeah. And that was, that none of the boys out there would have done that. He lived in town, and so he just was there on his, and of course it was kind of,
Incline.
yeah, and that was a good place, This side of the church, go down that aisle, from the vestibule, right down the aisle, and the door was right out the back, so it was a good place.
Well, what made him do it? He just called
Just done it. Maybe some of them dared him.
Maybe.
To do it, I don't know, but he done
But that woke him up, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that is something.
Oh.
Well, do you remember Lollings Chapel?
That's good.
That's what they call Cooks?
Mm-hmm.
Lollings Chapel?
Yeah.
Well, when did Cooks get the name Cooks? When did they?
Old man Cook, I reckon, after he got to preaching there, and maybe he's I don't know, he's the one that built the church, well, not this last one, I know, but they had a wood, just a frame, just like he did for a long time up there where the brick church is now. But this little one, the Lawing Church, was down there just on above where Ed Rankin lives. You know where Ed Rankin lives. Runs that automobile racing thing. Well, it was right up above.
Well, what caused them the name? Did a Lawing build it or preach there? Or?
I know Mr. George Lawing, that was Miss Tammy Alton's dad. I don't know whether he had anything to do with it, or I know he lived right across the road from it. And I don't know who started that thing, but I know this old man Cook preached there for years, there's Presbyterians, and they preached there for years. When one come, they stayed a lifetime, and so I just don't know now what made them call that long chapel, but I've heard that that was called Long Chapel one time, but I don't know who's done it and how come they changed it. I know the cook was the preacher, was one preacher.
Well,
he preached at Fall Creek and the cook and the father. And he married Mr. Robert Dunn's sister, Miss Emma Dunn. And they say he educated her. He sent her to school and educated her, and he married her. And so his name was Cook, and that's what he called him.
what do you think it was? They were having preaching down there before Pleasant Grove?
Yeah,
There was a lot older Pleasant.
I think it was, because Mama, that's where Mama belonged to the church.
Well, your mother lived down there, didn't she? Right about
Yeah, over across the creek someday. And I just don't remember of ever hearing her say anything about it. But I have heard people say that something about Lawrence Chapel. And it, unless it was on the gentleman, Mr. George Lawrence, maybe he done a lot for the church or something. But anyway, when Mr. Cookman was preaching there, they changed that too.
Well, you know who George Lawrence's daddy was? Was his daddy?
They wasn't much kin. I don't know what is in kin to Mr. Johnny Barnes family or not.
I think way back.
Well, maybe they were.
But not enough for any of us.
Nothing. Yeah.
Well, what about when they were going to move Pleasant Grove up here? Tell me about that. I know they had a big.
Oh, they had a free for all with that. You know, all the older people wanted to stay down there.
Wasn't it all the older families like the Lawrence? And
Yeah,
the Downs and
yeah. My daddy was, he was so opposed to it. Now, Mama didn't care. She said we could walk up here, you know, when she was younger, that thing. But Papa didn't want it to move at all. He said, move the church, the cemetery, just go. They'll never keep up the cemetery and nothing. That's why his main reason was he thought they wouldn't take care of the cemetery.
Well, who was some of the biggest ones? Your daddy's kind of one. What Mr. Will Elliott one?
Oh, yeah. But now Papa didn't cut up about it or nothing like that. But there wasn't but 2 families left when they moved. And that was Will Elliott and Mr. Tom Anderson.
They didn't.
And they've moved up too. But that's only 2 families that left.
Well, who was some of the ones that was wanting to move it?
Oh, the younger ones, you know, that they thought,
Would it be kind of like somebody's daddy didn't want to move it, but their son did? Was it kind of like the younger ones in the families?
well, the young ones, really, I reckon most of them wanted it moved, but they wasn't no, really wasn't no fuss or nothing about it. They just had their meetings and their ones would be for one side and one for the other, you know, and they'd talk, you know, and never amounted to nothing. And I don't know who just finally, you know, said, well, let's move it. Well, I know Uncle John Todd was for moving it, for he did, you know, he did, and that was for the Parsons that he did the money.
Go Taylor. He gave
Yeah.
I know he was for it, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was for it. And he gave the mine. And, I think most of them, but real old ones that had gone there so long and everything, they thought it was a prettier place. And it was,
Yeah.
You know,
Pretty nice to put them
they
back in the
wanted it,
grove.
yeah, they wanted it put back, you know, over on the other side of the road in the grove. And so But really, he's done better, I think, than it would ever done down there. Up here,
Kind of like the center of the community.
yeah. Mm.
Well, were you for it or against it then, or do you have any opinion?
Oh, I didn't care. I really, if I had any opinion at all, it was, I'd have said bring it up 50, because I think it would be better. And we could, maybe this was kind of a selfish reason, but I knew we could walk, the church anytime we wanted to. And we walked all the time there, when it was down Pleasant Grove. Well, of course, it's near for us to walk up near Pleasant Grove and go way down Pleasant Grove. We never thought it there, no, walking down there. We'd walk at night when we have services at night. Everybody around here, just whole crowd, together, we'd all walk together, have a good time.
Who had the first car in the community?
Mr. Will was talking, but he didn't belong to Pleasant Grove.
Well, it's in the community though.
Yeah,